everybody, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to 7 more short reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at 7 different games here, and we're going to be taking a look at them from smallest to largest in size. But that doesn't mean that the ratings reflect that. In fact, some of these are fine and some of them are terrible. But we'll start with a fine one, so let's get going. First we have Mindspace. This is from All Play Games, who, keep in mind, they're one of the sponsors of this show. But this is a roll and write game that uses different colors and you're drawing different polyominoes on your boards. Here's how it plays. In this game, players are trying to fill in an area. You'll either play on the A side or the B side. There's some differences between them. Each round of the game, you're going to roll dice, and you're going to put these dice next to the numbers on the cards. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'll put these dice here. What this means is that everybody can take and you're going to share these markers, and you can draw one of these shapes. Let's say, for example, I want to draw this orange shape. So orange landed on the 3, so I can draw that on my board. You're going to start by drawing a shape, and then you're going to be connecting all the rest of your shapes to that shape. So maybe I draw my orange one here, color this in. Now the rules are, I can't draw another orange shape next to that. So let's say these same dice were rolled in the future. I could draw the blue shape here because it's adjacent to the orange shape, and that would be fine, but I can't put another blue shape next to that. At any point, anybody can draw a 2 shape of any color. So if I wanted to, I can only draw pink in that color because I rolled a 6, but I could draw purple. I could draw this one or this one. Now, as the shapes are drawn, each round this card is going to get turned over. These are going to get moved down, and the dice are going to get re-rolled. You can rotate and mirror shapes if you want to, and you're going to keep going till all the cards run out. There's a couple things you're trying to do. You're trying to score for each of the different categories here. The orange shapes, as you draw them, are going to be giving you more points. Pink shapes, you want to draw shapes that match them. Blue shapes, you want to draw these so that you don't lose points. Green shapes give you money, and you can use money to draw black single squares to help fill things in. You can spend 2 to draw something in a different color, or 3 to draw 2 of the shapes rather than 1. And purple shapes get points for being next to orange. There's also going to be 3 random cards placed out here. There's a bunch of these included in the game. And the first person to do it, use a 4 space size shape 4 different times. The first person to do it will get the first number of points on here. After that, you flip the card, and anyone else who does it will get this amount of points, which is a lower amount of points. And you'll also get points for filling in complete sections of your board. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the winner. My one concern about the components of this is, in a roll and write game, normally if you lose a black marker or a black marker runs out, you buy some more. Here you have to buy these exact colors. That's a minor thing, I think. The way the colors score is very similar to other games, although there's some interesting ones. The way pink scores for each shape that matches that shape, and then orange and purple need to be touching. That's kind of interesting, although like orange getting positive points and blue getting rid of negative points, they're saying that's the same thing, even though they pretend it's different. I like this one fine. It's an interesting game, rolling the dice, trying to accomplish the missions that are out there and or fill things in. Everyone's going to get points in different ways, and at the end you add them together and you're like, hey, our scores were all pretty close. And so it feels like a nice balanced game. This is a 7 out of 10. I enjoy it. Didn't think it was like amazing, but the different colors are fun, and it is quick, which is good for a roll and write game. We're taking a look here at Timeline. I have Timeline Twist. So we have pop culture, and this one is, well, this one isn't anything, but it's just history, I guess. Timeline Twist. And these are games that are based on an older game called Timeline, which is a game in which you have to guess dates. Now, before you run away screaming, because a lot of people don't remember dates with a horrible remembering from history class, I really enjoyed the game Timeline, but this one adds a twist. Both of these games are played the same way, and you can mix and match them even if you wanted to. You can mix the cards together. This is history, and this is entertainment. What you'll do is, let's talk about the competitive game first. This is the original Timeline game. You put 1 card in the middle, and then each person's going to have 4 cards placed in front of them. These cards have dates. This one will be flipped over. So release of the show Money Heist is 2017. So then maybe I would pick this one here. Girl with balloon auto-destructed after being sold. I don't know what that means, I'm pretty sure it's some art thing I should know about. I think it happened before 2017. I stick it before or after. So I flip it over. Nope, it's 2018. I was wrong. So this card is discarded, and I'll draw a new card here, which is the Ice Bucket Challenge. On my next turn, I know when the Ice Bucket Challenge was, so I'll turn it over here. And that happened to be 2014. And when I'm correct, I don't get another card. So from now on, so like here, creation of YouTube, I can put it before 2014, I can put it in between or after. Of course, creation of YouTube was earlier than that, 2005, and you keep going on and on. You'll mix up the cards and do all sorts of things. Once someone gets rid of all their cards, they win the competitive game. In the cooperative game, there's going to be some similarities, a card in the middle of the table, some cards in front of each player, but there's a central pile of cards you go through. On your turn, you'll flip over a card, and you'll put it here because it's lower. You don't have to say where it goes. You just flip over a card. You can flip over one or two. So I flip over this one. Guess what? This one is not before 1653, and it's not after. You can only place it before or after, so I put this in a little gap row up here, although there can only be one card in between the different gaps. And in fact, this is a terrible gap that I've made, because if I mess up in the future, like the invention of the can opener, I can't put it in the gap rope or here, so I have to put this card in front of me here, and it's kind of messed up, and I'm going to have to discard this card in the future. There's a bunch of other confusing rules, and I'm being very serious here. It's not that many rules in this game, but you're trying to discard cards in front of you. You can pick one if your icon matches the icon in the pile, and it's a bunch of garbage. Never play this game. Just play the competitive one. As you can see, I really dislike the cooperative game. There's some idea there, although, again, it's a cooperative game, so everyone's just going to shout at everyone else what to do, but you take a card and you're trying to get as close to the one in the middle as possible so that you have a nice thing in between, but these rules are just overly convoluted. I'm really annoyed about this because this game is like for the mass market, and timeline's really simple and easy, and it's fine, and you can play these with those rules, but someone's going to get it. They're going to open these rules, and they're going to be like, okay, so discard a card. Choose a card in front of you in which the top left corner icon matches the top corner of the discard pile. You discard the chosen card and flip it over to reveal the date and the icon on the other side, which will be different. It's a tactical way to build a thing. Communicate and talk to each other, and you're like, wait, what? It's so bizarre. I really dislike it. My rating of the cooperative game is like a 3. I don't like it at all. Timeline Twist, though, is an 8. The regular timeline. So this is kind of a weird mixed package. I don't know what I would recommend these. I'm going to give these a 6, and here's why. Because even though you do have the good rule set in here, I'm afraid that most people are going to see the cooperative game first and then not enjoy it. The normal game was fine. Why they had to add this extra game in there that a lot of people it's going to be their only thing with the game is beyond me. The artwork is fine, and the dates are fine, but again, timeline was already working. I didn't see that we needed to redo it. No. Bansan here, the anything also got market. So this is a neat idea here. Luma was involved with this one, and it's based on an open air market in Malaysia. So that's a lot of the different things and vegetables you're going to see there. It has some really great components. Let me show you. There's going to be a bunch of market stalls out here, and players will have a chance to own them. You'll be able to buy and or sell these market stalls over the course of the game. There's a lot of cards here. You'll notice there's different backs of the cards, and on these cards are 2 different types of goods. And over the course of the game, you're going to be pulling goods from that row, or you'll be drawing from the pile so you don't get a duplicate one, and placing goods in a proper thing. And you can pick. So here I want to put seafood in there, or macam I can put in the macam market. The cost of goods, there's a suggested market price that most goods are 1 except for seafood and meat. When goods are used, they're going to be thrown away into the trash cans here, depending on the back side of them. If a trash can gets full, that's a bad thing. And you see that this one, they all start not full, but they can get full if you overfill them. You can empty trash cans over the course of the game to get money. Money is important because you need money to buy things. Why are you doing all this? Well, you're doing it to complete these orders. So to make mango pomelo sago, I need these things, which doesn't really matter, just means it's 1 dry good. And this means I need 1 fruits and vegetables. It's mango pomelo. You don't need these exact ones. You just need 1 of that type. And if you do that, you're going to score this many points at the bottom of the card. To once someone scores a certain number of these menus, then the game is going to be over. And so the game is kind of revolving around, you're on your turn, you'll have two actions. First, you're going to fill these market stalls. You're either going to be filling them with all the same good out there, or like I said, flipping from the top of the pile till you get a duplicate. Then you're going to take two more actions, which are buying from someone here. You can buy from the wholesalers. You can sell. You can buy or sell markets, or you can empty trash cans for money. And you're going to need to do that because making cards go over will cause you to lose points. When you turn over a card to refill the market, if it shows a star, you'll draw an event card. And there's all different event cards like Epidemic Scare. Market price of meat goes down to 1 per card. Or a second produce type in Wholesale Road may be stocked in the stalls. Or current player swaps the contents of their shopping bag with a player of your choice. So anyhow, you keep going, and at the end of the game, you're going to be scoring points for these and losing points for causing the trash cans to overflow. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Again, this game is phenomenally produced. I have no problems with how the cards are, everything. My biggest problem is the rules. I don't think the rules are particularly clear, especially when it comes to buying things. Unfortunately, the market and economy of this game keeps it from becoming great. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10 because there's a lot of great ideas in here that I love. I love the recycling bins. I love the dual-sided cards. I love putting stuff in markets. Selling a market's almost always a bad idea. It gives you some quick cash, but then you're going to have to find another market to get back. But the idea of selling resources to other people. If I go to your market, I can buy goods from you. What's the price? Well, you kind of want to do market price. There's not a lot of, the numbers are so small in this game, 1 or 2, that there's not a lot of manipulation there. If the price of something was 5, I could see, well, I'm going to charge you 6. And you go over to Bill, who also has the same shop. Bill's like, I'll just charge 5. And you might waiver because I have 2 and Bill has 1. But if I'm charging 1 and 2, you're charging double the price of me. And I just didn't think the economy in this game worked. Also, once you strip out all the cool stuff, you collect things and make sets, but it's really, really slow collecting and really, really slow sets. So I wanted to like this one more. I think there's a lot of great ideas. I think there's a really great production here. It's exciting to see how neat this looks, but it just needed a little bit more development, in my opinion. Lunaris 45 is a new game from Pythagoras, which is about solving problems. The year is 2023. Wait, that's now. Anyway, there's a new project and there's this big lunar thing, but there's all sorts of problems in the programming, and we need to fix those by rolling dice. Let me show you. In this game, players are trying to solve problems. You'll have a problem. You'll start with a level 1 problem, but there's common problems that anyone can solve. To solve a problem, this one I need to roll a 2. To solve this one, I need to roll any number, and then a number that's 2 higher, 2 of the same, 3 of a different kind, a number, and then one that's higher, and then 2 higher. This symbol means odd numbers, and then there's, anything here but it's higher than or equal to 15, and this means even numbers. So on a player's turn, the first thing they can do is buy an upgrade. There are 3 different types of upgrades you can buy. This is the cost of them. You'll pay the money here, so I could pay 2 money to buy, for example, another die. I start with 2. I want a 3rd die. When you buy the upgrade, you'll take the cube off and put it on the highest number down here. You can also buy more rerolls, and you can buy the ability to use other players' dice. The reason I'm showing you the game box is because that is where dice are placed. So let's say it's my turn. I will roll these dice. I got this one. That problem's finished. I also could finish this problem, but I can only finish 1 problem on my turn, although you will get a bonus action at the end of your turn that will let you finish an extra problem. So, that seems like a good idea here. So the first thing you do in your turn is you buy an upgrade. Then you'll resolve problems by rolling dice. I put it here. This problem's resolved. It's going to go over here. I'll get that die on my next turn. You then have a bonus action. So like I said, I could do a second problem. I will do that. I'll solve this problem, which shows a new one available. Another bonus action is you can take the top level of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and give yourself another problem that only you can work on. And then the third thing you can do, and it's the big thing here, is validation. Over here, I can essentially sell these here, and I'm going to multiply this times this number that's showing here, the highest number. So this starts at 2. 2 times 3, I'm going to get 6. So if I had 6 here, I would go up to 12. And I would take one of these tokens here. Interesting enough, when you take these tokens and they have checks that are 10s and 50s, you'll go up here, but you can only spend money here, which means if you end on 0 somehow, you don't have any spending cash to buy upgrades. Also, when you buy these upgrades, you'll be flipping them to the other side, so they're going to go from cheaper to more expensive to cheaper and back and forth. You're going to keep going till all these common problems are gone. At that point, everyone will sell their stuff for 0.5 times the number here, and whoever has the most points is the winner. I wish I like this one more because, again, there's a lot of cool things in this that are interesting. It's a Yahtzee-style game. You roll dice, you buy upgrades. Do I want to buy more re-rolls? Or later on, those re-rolls turn into +1 or -1 from dice. Do I want to buy more dice? Do I want to buy the ability to use other players' dice? That stuff's great. Unfortunately, you roll dice and see if you match something out in the middle, and there's so few common problems and so few of your own problems that you're going to do well or you're not, and just whoever rolls better is going to win the game. That's just all there is to it. The idea of selling them back at the bottom for money, and every time you get to 10, you take a thing, but you only spend the money that's up there, that's a little wonky and weird. It's okay, but I felt like the bigger projects are really hard to do, but they give you more points. The smaller projects are small and simple to do, but taking a project as your bonus action is not as interesting as finishing 2 projects, and if you roll well, that's what you get to do. So the game plays quickly, it's interesting, but it kind of has a very quick end, and since the amount of points you get from, turning your problems in gets less and less as the game goes by, it has a curve that feels a little unsatisfying. Things don't get cooler as they go by. I mean, you get cooler abilities, re-rolls, and more dice, but your points go down. So it's kind of a weird, wonky back and forth. So I like the concept of it. I like a lot of the ideas in it, but this one is just a 6 for me. It looks very drab, and that doesn't help the situation at all. We're taking a look here at Grail Cup. Now, Grail Cup is a reprint, and it's really weird because it's hard to find this information. But when I started playing this game, I was going through the rules, I was like, wait a minute, I know this game, I played it before. Lost Temple from Stronghold Games. Grail Cup is a reimagining of that game with John Kovalick's artwork, which is very, very Munchkin-esque. He's the main thing for that. This is a silly race, and it has a lot of similarities, like I said, to Lost Temple, but if you never played Lost Temple, it's also similar to Citadels, where you have a bunch of cards, you'll pick one and pass them around, and you try to outthink everybody else. A silly, wacky race. Here's how it plays. This is a race. Each player is going to be controlling a knight here, and you're going to be randomly picking a starting position. Although if you start at the end, you'll get one of these spears, which you need to go past the dragon. In every version, doesn't matter how many players are playing, you're going to have these Hand of Ally cards. You'll be shuffling them, removing one randomly, and possibly removing some more depending on the number of players. Then handing them to one person who's going to be picking first from these. Everyone's going to secretly pick one, pass it around to the next person, and go on until everyone has an ally card. Then you'll call them out. So it'll be like number 1. If someone has number 1, they will play number 1. And each of these moves pretty differently. So if you play the Enchantress, let's say I'm this person, you move 1 space forward, then you pick somebody else, you curse another ally. So I might curse, maybe the priest. So when it's the priest's turn, I'll switch places with whoever picked the priest before they move. By the way, you'll notice I moved here onto a 4-wave clover. I'll turn that over and do something. There are reference cards that tell you what all the different ally cards do. And then there are some unhelpful little boards here that kind of give you some idea of what these do. Like magnet. Like, well, I don't know what that means. That symbol's not super clear. But you will have these different things that you'll do. Some of them let you move forward. Some of them give you lances. Some let you move the dragon around because no one can move past the dragon unless they have a lance to spend. And then you'll move that. Sometimes they have you move to a specific spot on the board. And eventually you'll get to the spot here that says huzzah, and you'll win the race. And that's pretty much it. Some things let you roll this die. If you roll this seal, you'll go first. Otherwise, this will pass clockwise around the table. Not much more to say. I'm not always the biggest fan of John Kovalick's artwork because it's so tied to Munchkin that when you see a game, you think, Munchkin. I think for this particular game, it works fine. Grail Cup for me is a 6.5. It's almost there. I enjoy my playings of it, but it's almost light enough it floats away, and I don't think much about it. I like the idea of getting some cards and going, ooh, this time I'm going to switch spots with somebody else. Or I bet that John picked the princess, and I'm going to switch with the princess, and oh, it wasn't John, it was somebody else. The four-leaf clover is giving you stuff. There's like different things going on, but it's going to feel super chaotic. And that is the designer, Bruno Fidutis. That's his motif. He's a chaotic designer. Citadel's his best-known game. It's a lot of fun, but it's chaotic. Grail Cup, unfortunately, feels more chaotic. So compared to Lost Temple, I think this is the better game because Lost Temple looks super drab, and it's longer. And this is a much shorter game, and I think that this kind of thing needs to be shorter. They also changed a few other things with tokens and so on. It looks like a kid's game. I think it will work for kids. I think it will work for families. I think a lot of people will enjoy it. But for me, like I said, it's just kind of on the cusp of, I played it, I was like, yeah, that's nice. And then I'll probably won't think about it again until I have to look at it again in 5 years. So that's Grail Cup. Taverns and Dragons has a cover I really dislike because there's this really cool dragon you can see here chasing a meeple. Why is it chasing a meeple? A meeple is a wooden figure that represents a human. And if you look here on the back, you'll see pictures of such humans. So why is it chasing a piece of wood? I don't get it. But whatever. It's a terrible cover. The rest of the artwork, though, I really like how everything here looks. So Lord Raccoon Games, I don't know much about it. Let's check it out. In this game, players are going to have a board, and at the beginning of each round, players are going to roll all their dice and put them here. Whoever has the lowest roll will go first, and if you roll less than 10, then you'll get a gold because, well, you suck. Anyhow, you're going to be able to take turns placing these dice on the board. You can place them up here as long as they match these numbers, which no human being can read, but this one here says 3, and you'll get that much gold. You can also, anyone can go down here, and the number that you have here are the energy gems that you'll get. You can also place it on your board, and so if you place it on your board, you'll place it on one of your 3 meeples. You'll then have to take some time looking at these meeples. I guess you can lay them down. It's easier for you to see them. You'll then move them that many exact spaces. When they go to spaces, if there's different ingredients there, you'll be able to pick these ingredients up and hold them. This guy can hold 3 because he's strong. The other 2 can hold 2, although this guy can move an extra spot, and you can spend rune tokens to re-roll your movement. Eventually, you'll get back here where you can drop your ingredients off, and then later on as an action, you can spend ingredients to get one of these cards, which is points. Otherwise, you can stop at locations and do these locations, which is, warp places, move somewhere else, get a re-roll token, whatever. You can also buy these cards at the top for gold, and they will give you special abilities that you can use, like this one here, move your minion to any area. Okay, that's nice. Hopefully that was worth 4 gold. At some point, there will be different events between each round. A bad guy will be revealed. Here's the Titan. You'll bring him out. When he's in the game, minions adjacent to the dragon may not move, and you're going to fight him. So when you fight him, you're going to waste gems and roll these dice for each gem that you use. And if you match symbols, you place them here. Sometimes there are rewards, and if you finish a line, you get points. Everyone else who helped finish that line, they get nothing. And if you're the person who finishes the last line and kills the Titan, then you will get a trophy token, which is also worth points. So these monsters will show up, I think 2 show up over the course of the game. And that's kind of it. Different tokens are replaced here. Some tokens are permanently on the board, so if you go to those spots, you'll be able to get those things. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. It's mostly going to come from these, although you do get a few points from buying heroes at the top and trophies from fighting dragons and such. I hate this game. I'm giving this game a 3. Maybe a 2. It's just that terrible. It's so slow. If you're going to have a game where you roll dice, then make low dice worth something. Here, you roll less than 10, you get a gold. Whoa, ooh la la, I still rolled terribly. That means all my guys are going to move slowly, because the dice only go to 1 to 4. So if you roll a bunch of 1s and 2s, your guys will move very slowly around and the board, and you need to pick up ingredients, then get them all the way around the board to drop off those ingredients. But then the ingredients run out, the ones you needed to finish those things. And, it's so slow. There's nothing out there that tells you what any of the buildings do, so you're looking up stuff for a very simple game. What does this building do? What does this thing do? What does this token do? And Again, getting low numbers. If someone else gets high numbers, they're like, I'm taking lots of money. I'm also taking lots of gems. I can use this building. But you run out of gems pretty quickly. You can't do buildings. Then the dragon shows up. Now, how many people who are watching this have played the old role-playing games or other things where the person who does the final hit on the bad guy gets all the experience? Everyone hated that. They've changed that in modern games. Why is that back here? Why is it, I hit the dragon twice? What did you get? Nothing much. But guess what? Now you're going to get it because you hit him. Fighting the dragons or whatever the monster would be, I found it to be very unsatisfying. To be clear, the only thing I like about this game is I thought the dice are fantastic and most of the components are pretty neat looking. The artwork and everything except the cover of the box, but the rest of it looks great. But playing it, I found it to be excruciatingly boring, really slow, and just not fun. Like, I have a 1. Do I want 1 gold? Do I want 1 gem? Do I want to move one of my guys 1? Just not that interesting. Fighting a dragon, pretty boring. This was a really big disappointment for me. Taverns and Dragons. I don't know how to pronounce this game. I think it's Xingu. This is a game from Brazil about these tribes that are living in the rainforest that are having people encroach on them. So unlike being the people coming in, you are these tribes and you're dealing with this stuff that's coming in. The telegraph wires being built, the missionaries coming to convert you, the farmers who are building farms and are irritated that you're kind of on their land. So it's an interesting, heavy-esque game. I mean, we're talking, it says 90 minutes, 120 minutes on here. That's definitely what kind of game this is. So let's do a broad overview and we'll be back. There's way too much for me to give a quick overview of this. But what you are doing is you're going to control one area on the board. And you'll have some people in that area. And as the game goes by, you have a chance to expand your area. And that way you can fit more people and or buildings in that area to store goods. But the game is going to revolve around 5 different cards. And each round you're going to play a card. Sometimes you'll play multiple cards together to do an action. Each of the cards has multiple actions on it. So for example, I can play her along with someone else to have another person come. I'll be able to get more people that I'll be able to use. Because many of these actions require you to put people on them. Some let you expand. Some let you take these cards. These cards, when you take a card, it will bring more negative things on the board, like these farmers are attacking you. Sometimes they'll bring missionaries that you have to deal with in either in a positive or negative way. It's up to you. They can give you points, but they also stop you from having your ritual, which can get you points that way too. So the missionaries are kind of a mixed bunch. They can stop disease when that happens, because disease will sweep through sometimes. But they also, you can chase them away to get victory points. And then there's also farmers and other people who cause you all sorts of havoc. When you take a card, the card is multiple resources. You'll put tokens on it to show that you've used those resources. And then when the card's done, it's gone. But whenever you use up a card, there'll be bonus cards next to the board, and you'll be able to use your discarded cards to take these bonus cards to get bonus actions. So like I said, there's all sorts of things that you're going to be able to do with each of these cards. One of them lets you move up on a track that you have here, and moving up on this track is going to give you extra bonuses. Some are going to let you collect different goods. Having more goods will give you points at the end of the game. Some will let you expand your area. And so everything has different costs, and you have to keep that in mind. Sometimes you put out telegraph wires. There's telegraph stations that will start on the board. And these telegraph wires, if you're next to other people's villages, will cause negative points to them. And really, trying to keep track of all this, even me explaining it, there's a lot going on. But that's the basic gist. You're going to be playing these cards. And we had to use the book a lot to figure out, like, this guy has 4 different actions that he has on him. Well, this person only has 1 action. Well, the 4 different things you can do with that action, but he's going hunting all over the place. But using these, you're going to get better and better and either be making peace with the missionaries, but slowly chasing the farmers away, building your area bigger to get points. Also, I should mention, as you score points on the outside of the board, whenever you hit one of these spots here, you need to feed your people. And different resources will feed your people and get you more victory points. But if you don't, you move on a negative point track up here. That negative point track will also happen if you have disease, and sometimes your workers are captured by the farmers and stuck down here, and you're going to have to go break them out of prison to be able to use them again. So that's the very, very top level overview of the game. Now, I want to say that part of my playing this, everything was translated. The rules were translated. I have, sheets that tell me what all the cards do. But that's not just because it's in Portuguese. A lot of that also is because, all these cards just have symbols on them. And these cards that you play, having them do so many different things, it takes a while to get used to. Once you understand how they work, it's great. When I play the chief, I can play other cards with him to move down farther in his track. When I play this person, she can gather in areas that are next to you, but only if they match the letters here. There's a lot going on in the game. You're building sets of items at the end of the game to turn them in for points. But there's a lot of things I found to be interesting. I first of all, big hats off to the theme. I think it's really interesting. I love the way you deal with missionaries because there's two ways. You could kind of bring your missionary into your camp, and as they putter around, you're getting points for them. Or you can shoo them out, you get points for that. You can go visit their camp and learn things, and it also keeps you safe because these other guys are trying to capture your people and stick them in prison, and then there's disease that comes by, but the missionaries will have stuff that helps you. So there's kind of like this weird balance between all this stuff. The bonus cards are an interesting idea. The resources are interesting ideas. But it is a heady game to play. And because of that, it just falls shy for me. I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10 because I like a lot of the concepts. I think it's a neat idea. But I didn't have a ton of fun playing it. There was more like interesting things I'm doing. The food, I'm not sure how I feel about that, where you have to feed your people when you get a certain amount of points. Sometimes you're trying not to get points so that you don't have to feed your people. It's a weird catch-up mechanism, I guess, but I don't know that I love that idea. But I did like the card idea, the concept of I'm going to play a card, you play a card, we go around, play workers on top of these cards. But there's probably too much stuff going on. There's too many different elements going on, and it's hard to determine what gives you points. Yes, you get points for expanding your camp. Yes, you get points for collecting sets. Yes, you get points when you feed your people, you feed with different types of food. There's a lot of great ideas here. I'm just not 100% sure, at the end, how it all comes together, if it comes together in as satisfying of a way as I want it to. But I still think it's a neat concept here, so that is Xingu. This game here. You might want to check it out because you're not going to see a whole lot of this in the wild, I think. So anyway, and there you go. 7 different games. Some terrible, some okay, some good. You might want to check them out of this lot. Actually, my favorite was probably the first one, Mindspace. And then, of course, if you don't play it with the weird twist, Timeline is a pretty solid game. But interesting stuff here. I'll see you next time on the Dice Tower. Keep watching.